Speaking of the criteria by which minorities competed with whites, presidential candidate Barack Obama, the child of a black father and a white mother, the mixing of the races is often racists' worst fear, asserted, "Your dreams don't have to come at the expense of my dreams." But many people do not see it this way. The following account of the limits on minority access during decades of overt discrimination can help us recognize and understand the central role of race in the history of U.S. higher education, and how that history has brought about efforts today to use race as a means of overcoming the legacy of discrimination. Chapter 1: African Americans. The mere enrollment of students of African descent at Eastern universities is no longer a matter of wide comment, though they are not numerous at any single institution or in the aggregate. Fortunately for them, and for all, they are not hampered by the notoriety which was once thrust upon everyone of their race who entered a mixed college. A Harvard example, 1889. I felt that the whole race rode on my poor, weak shoulders, that somehow, if I failed, I would be letting down all Negroes. Many Negroes of my generation assumed that attitude when they attended Northern white schools. It helped to make us more competitive. Arthur P. Davis, Phi Beta Kappa, Columbia College, 1927. Until the end of World War II, most U.S. colleges viewed African American applicants and students as profoundly different from the white majority. In many institutions, this view of the fundamental difference of black students remained deeply embedded through the end of the 20th century. Some colonial and 19th century colleges had accepted or even sought out students who were indigenous. But few colleges actively solicited African American attendance before the Civil War. Southern states forbade the education of black people, though attempts to thwart their learning did not always succeed. Some free black people, and some black people who had escaped from their enslavers, found succor in Northern schools run by abolitionists and by others who believed that black people, whether enslaved or free, should have some education. The 18th century records of the College of New Jersey, now Princeton University, include the names of several black and Native students. President John Witherspoon privately tutored Bristol Yama and John Kwame, two free black people who intended to become missionaries in Africa. Yale President Ezra Stiles and black poet and abolitionist Phyllis Wheatley solicited funding for these two Negro men who were desirous of returning to their native country. Congregants of Samuel Hopkins, who promoted the missionary character of Protestant churches, Yama and Kwame studied with Witherspoon until the Revolutionary War thwarted this early attempt to stimulate colonization in Africa. Witherspoon also privately tutored John Chavis, a free black man from Virginia. Most accounts agree that Chavis attended Princeton after fighting in the 5th Virginia Regiment during the Revolution, and after preparation in a school run by Henry Patillo, a North Carolina Presbyterian minister. John Blair Smith, a Princeton trustee, nominated Chavis for a scholarship bequeathed by James Leslie for the education of poor and pious youth. Some historians criticize a traditional account that two white benefactors sent Chavis to Princeton to see whether a Negro would be able to take a collegiate education. After Witherspoon's death in 1794, Chavis studied at Liberty Hall Academy, a white school and the forerunner of Washington and Lee University, founded by William Graham, another student of Witherspoon. Completing his studies in 1802, Chavis opened a racially mixed school in Raleigh, North Carolina around 1805, only to lose his clientele and be told by the North Carolina Presbytery to stop teaching when the state prohibited the education of black people after the 1831 uprising led by Nat Turner. We do not have evidence of other 18th century enrollments, but historian Carter Woodson identified several early 19th century matriculations, reflecting an evolution from individual to organized efforts. Colonization societies, which sought to relocate black people to Haiti, Liberia, and other places, he noted, supported educating a black leadership cadre at white colleges. There, blacks and whites shared classrooms, though most colonizers, unable to envision